Monday.
Hey guys, happy Monday, our Q&A. And, today I'd like to start off with a few things. I got a few gifts. This shirt, it's from Sicilian Veterans. Look at me, bro. David sent it to me. David, thanks a lot. I like it. I love it. It fits me perfect. I have the script. I got a script. Linda, I got your script. I got your package. I'm reading it. I was playing with it. I'm going to read it tonight. It's very interesting. I'll tell you the truth. I appreciate it. I'm going to take a good look at it. We'll see what we can do. And Carol, I got your T-shirt that you sent me. I'm going to read the back of it, if I can find the back. Okay, here it is. If you bring up my past, you should know that Jesus has dropped the charges. So I know, but I didn't drop the charges yet. So I'm going to put the T-shirt over here, and then we're going to get started in Q&As. Is there any that we didn't do last week that we should throw in first?
Questions? Yes.
Questions.
There is.
All right, then start it up.
Okay. Hey guys. Okay, we're gonna start out with some shout outs from last week. Sammy, we have El Gato, who gave you a cappuccino on him with some cinnamon and everything else on it.
Oh, that's nice.
Carol Biondo, Shoestring Tom. Bill Curtis says hello all from Billy in Boston, but now in LA. Michael N says, Sammy, please give a shout out to my brother Mark from Long Island. He loves the story about Roy asking you to pump iron in Jimmy Brown's club.
Hey, pal.
Yeah, go ahead. Give those guys a shout out.
Well, I don't remember all the names. You just said 5 names.
It's okay. Just shout out everybody. Say hey, shout out to everybody.
I love your comments.
Okay. And then we have Vincent Fiorenza. Hey, Sammy, I wanted to know what was the reason why Shorty Spiro was killed and how did the Colombo family take it afterwards? Vinny de Ginny.
It's a little bit of a story, but I'll tell you. Ralph Spiro, his brother, Shorty's brother, I had a problem with him in the family. As everybody knows, I went to kill him. There was a whole beef about it. That's how I got transferred from the Colombo family to the Gambino family. He was a little bit of a swindler and a liar. He did a deal with Jerry Papa. He tried to swindle him. Papa and one of his guys went down, and they killed him outside the house that I went to originally. Shorty came to me, Sammy. I said, listen, Shorty, I gave my word I wouldn't hurt him. It's not me, but I'll help you in any way. And he was investigating, and he went crazy. Who killed his brother? It wasn't on record, so he was checking it out. It was Jerry Papa. One of Jerry Papa's guys, I can't think of his name, he came to my house and confessed that he was the guy who told him that he brought Shorty there to Jerry Papa and telling under the guise of Papa knows who did it. So when Shorty went to meet him, Papa killed him, put him in the basement, put concrete over him. Later on, when, who's Papa's guy there?
Papa's guy.
Papa's guy.
We just went through this, Papa and what's his face. But anyway, one of Papa's guys, I can't think of his name right now. I hated the guy. He ratted. He brought the feds right to the body. So they did it, and that's why they did it. And that's why he was killed. Papa did a lot of like crazy shit. He wound up getting killed. The Colombo people, when they found out, of course, Shorty was a heavyweight with them, and they had to go nuts over it. I didn't like it, so that's the story with him a little bit.
Okay, thank you, Sammy. Real quick, give one more quick shout out to Peter Allen MMA. He's been a very loyal listener to you for the past 3 years.
Shout out Peter what? Peter Pan?
Peter Allen.
Oh, Peter Allen, MMA?
MMA.
What is he, an MMA fighter?
I don't know. Are you an MMA fighter, Peter? We'll see. He'll comment in the comments below. Another question from Vincent from last week. Was it common for heavyweight captains to take associates under their wings like Tato did with you, or was it just a select few that had reputations like you?
Captains mostly had made men under them, but you got to understand, every made guy had associates. Even the associates is through the made guy is with the captain anyway. Sometimes the captain could have guys on his own who are not a made member with him. There's no rule about that. The Gambino family, when I was being released from the Colombo family, they're the ones who talked for me. That's why I was transferred there. It started off with the old man, Johnny Rizzo. Tato was his captain. He went to Tato. Tato went to Carlo Gambino. Carlo Gambino and the heads of the Colombo family talked about me and Ralph Spiro. They gave Ralph Spiro wrong. They just made me promise that I wouldn't kill him and I would be transferred over and I would be put under Tato because that's where it went. And Tato held the reins on me, but we became very, very close. So it could be done.
Okay. JB Weld asks, what's the process for passing on a racket from one soldier to another? Does the skipper just turn them over to the next skipper?
No, any racket a guy forms, that's his. He can do what he wants with it, but if it's on record with a skipper and there's a flow of money, it usually stays with the family. Certain things like a piece of a club or a restaurant or something, that's just a bullshit thing. They keep it, they do what they want with it. But if it's a big thing like a union and union delegates, that goes right up to the top. That belongs to the family. So they do what they want with it. They could put whoever they want in charge of it, whether it's you or somebody else. There's no set rules with this stuff.
Jay Marie. Hey, Jay Marie. Hey, boss. You've explained the kick up to us, and my question is, does anyone get a taste as the money goes up? Like, do the captains keep a bit for themselves? How about whoever is doing collections?
Well, it usually goes from the made guy right to the captain, and the captain does keep a piece. He keeps a moderate piece, and he sends it up to the administration. It goes up the ladder, but the captain gets a piece. The guy who brought it in, the made guy, he gets the biggest piece, and he gives a piece to his captain. And let's say 10, 20%, 25%, or whatever it is, it depends on the situation. And then the captain will send maybe 15% up if he got 25. He keeps 10, he sent 15% to the commission, to the administration. So it just breaks down. Now, there's a lot of things that you don't have to kick. You have a regular mom and pop store, restaurant, you don't really have to kick. There's nothing, you don't have to send an envelope. If you're doing extremely well and you felt like sending one, but it's not, in other words, when you're using the family's name, you're using their muscle to, let's say, have a union situations, everything is working in your way. You should kick up with that because you're using them, their connections, their power. But if you have a legitimate business, usually you don't have to kick up, and it's not really required. You have a small little dress factory or whatever, it's, a plumbing company or a construction company, you don't have to, unless you're making big numbers. And then you're always getting help from the upper people because of the unions and the power that we wield. So those times you should kick.
Okay, great. Maddie Marinera. Hey, Sammy. My boyfriend, Nick Colacone, planned on a same-sex marriage but comes from traditional family, Italian families. Should we tell them sooner or later?
These are two guys.
Yes.
I'm sure the family must know by now, but if they don't know, I think it would be a respectful thing. Listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with a gay person or a gay marriage. As long as it's done properly, kids are not involved and shit like that. So I don't see, I mean, I have some people in my family, one or two, that are gay or were gay. One guy passed away, but there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. You know, you should tell your family. This is not something they should hear from the street. This is not something you should be ashamed of. If that's what you are, you are. So, and if you find somebody you love, whether it's a man or a woman, but you know, you have, I think you should tell them. I mean, they shouldn't find out from other people. They should know. I know, as if it was my son or my daughter, I wouldn't hate them because they were gay. I would, you know, I would still love them, so it wouldn't matter too much. But if I was totally unconscious to it, and somebody hit me with it or something, and he's getting married, and the woman comes with a dress, and it's actually a guy, that would, you know, I would be a little floored by, shocked. So, you know, why do it that way? Why hide it? If that's what you are, that's what you are. They love you for what you are. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't.
Okay, great. Mike DeBella. He has two questions. Sammy, do you remember my cousin Sherry? She was engaged to your nephew Buddy. We watched the tape last night of the engagement party. And then he also wants to know if you remember my Uncle Jimmy, Sherry's father.
Now, I do remember Sherry. She went out with my nephew, a very pretty girl. I don't remember why they broke up, but they broke up, and he went on with his life. She went on with hers. I don't think I remember your father. I mean, I could have met him at you know, one of the functions, but I don't recall who he was. But of course I remember Sherry. Yeah, I do.
Okay, Adam Khan. Sammy, how well did you know Tommy DeSimone?
I didn't know him well. I knew of him. I mean, he was with a different family, a different crew. I didn't know him well. I knew of him, but I never really had any dealings with him. Tough guy, a little too tough. He wound up paying the piper for it, but I didn't know him that well.
Okay, Ben Rios. Sammy, when a made guy goes to jail, especially one with few Italians, how does the family make sure he's protected?
You know, when you go to prison, it's a whole nother world. You got to stand up for yourself, and you got to protect yourself. Now, if there's Italian guys around or made guys around, you know, we would send word to people, you know, you're supposed to hang out and you're supposed to take each other's back. But that's something that's happening in prison anyway. You're always going to know, you know, black guys know black guys, Mexican guys know Mexican guys, Italian guys know Italian guys. You should take each other's back. You don't need no help from the street, and the street can't give you too much help anyway while you're in prison. You're on your own. Act like a man, be a man. You know, in prison, it's really, if you're courteous, you don't walk around thinking you're a big shot, you're really not going to have problems. And if you have a problem, win, lose, or draw, face it.
Okay, we have a couple more. Giovanni. Hey, Sammy, what was the reason Shorty Spiro was killed by Jerry Papa and Pete Savino? Did the Columbos retaliate since Shorty was beloved in the family?
I just was asked that same question. And that's the guy, I couldn't remember his name. Petey Savino was his partner. They did it together. Petey Savino was the guy who cooperated and ratted where Shorty's body was and all of that stuff. So I was just asked that question and answered it, but I'm glad that this guy remembered the name. Petey Savino, yeah, he was a piece of shit. I never liked him. And he was the guy who gave up the whole situation.
Okay, Daniel Irizarry. Any stories about the Puerto Rican numbers kingpin Spanish Raymond Marquez?
I knew of him. He was a tough guy. He was a good earner. He had a very good reputation. I didn't know him personally, but the name I know who he is, and he had a big numbers business and bookmaking and stuff like that. He was very honorable in his dealings. People made money with him. He had a great reputation, and he was a little bit of a tough guy too, from what I understand, but I didn't know him personally. Never had the pleasure.
Okay, Frank Logan. Did having Neil give Paul more respect cause issues with the other families?
Well, the question's a little complicated, but if it meant that when when Carlo Gambino was the boss, Neil was his underboss. Neil was in prison when Carlo Gambino died. Carlo Gambino wanted Paul to be the boss. He didn't take the title. He wanted to wait for Neil was coming out of prison. They were two different sides, actually, years back. So when Paul called him in, he said, you know, he knew that Carl recommended him to be the boss. And so Paul waited and gave him the respect and asked him, is it okay do you want to be that position? And he said, no, I've been in prison. I haven't been on the street. You've been on the street. Carl gave you the blessings. I had a tremendous respect for Carl. If you want me to be your underboss, I would be your underboss. If not, you could take me down. I'll be a captain, and I'll be loyal to the family, either way. And Paul looked at him and said, well, and I would like you to be my underboss. It was a very smart move, and it was good for him because both sides came together. There was no problems, no beefs. There was a little beef with John Gotti. He wanted Neil to be the boss. He wanted to cause trouble. Neil didn't want it. He said, this is what Carl wanted, and I respect his wishes. And Paul granted him to become his underboss. So it was a perfect move by Paul, and it did make him stronger and better.
Okay. That was the end of all the questions I have from last week, all the shout outs and super chats that came in. Sammy, can you give a special little happy birthday to Lily Rose Allen? It's her 5th birthday from Ireland.
Oh, happy birthday, Lily. Like my dog, Lily. I mean, and I don't want to compare you with a dog, but, you know.
It's okay.
Same name.
Over to my beautiful Anna.
Hi, Sammy. That's a great sweatshirt. I love it.
I like it. It's very comfortable, too, and it's got a good meaning to it. I like it.
It's awesome.
Fits good.
Fits good?
Yeah, it does.
Looks good.
How's it look?
Looks great.
It's nice material. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Lily, someone's sleeping on the job down there.
Yeah, well, she's on set. Every time when we film, she thinks her job is to lay down near my feet and make sure everybody's doing the right thing. Right, Lil?
Paw Patrol. All right, let me jump into some super chats for you, Sam. John Simp, have you tried the Al Capone cigar? If not, I would really recommend. They are cheap and better than a Black and Mild, and the best flavor to get is cognac.
I'll try it. What is it? Al Capone cigar?
Mm-hmm.
I never heard of it, but I'll definitely try it. Listen, the Black and Mild, I stopped smoking the Black and Mild. It just started tasting very foul to me. I stopped smoking it. I mean, I went to this Swisher Sweets. It doesn't have the plastic tip or the wooden tip. It feels and smokes more like a regular cigar. Mm-hmm. And it actually tastes better. Now, I hope I get disgusted with this like I did with the other one and stop smoking, period. Because sometimes I listen to myself, my voice sounds a little raspy. And I guess that's maybe from smoking.
Maybe.
I stopped smoking cigarettes completely. And I went to these, stayed with the cigars. That's what I'm smoking right now. But that's what this is, the Swisher Sweets. And it's the original. It's a pretty good cigar. It's not bad. And it's another cheapo. But I'll try this Al Capone cigar.
All right, we'll have to order some for you, Sammy.
Yeah.
And your lips to God's ears, you'll stop smoking.
Yeah. Well, I really do intend to stop.
Yeah.
I got a couple of projects. I'm not supposed to talk about this, but I am. I got a couple of projects. I've been negotiating all weekend to try and get the balance and get it right and make everybody happy on all ends. I'm still waiting for the strike to be over. The writer's strike and the directors is over, but the actors are still on strike. So I've been negotiating, talking to my lawyers, signing up things. And so I know I'm going to be super, super busy because I actually have 3 different contracts to do. And they're all going to come simultaneously. So I think if that happens, I'm going to chill. I think it's time to stop smoking for a while. I want to be around and watch when these movies come out. One's a movie about the Johnny Keys story. It's going to be phenomenal. I mean, I love the way they're talking and what they're doing. And the other one is a scripted show, story of my life, similar to The Sopranos, a little bit different. And we're talking about where to start it. I'm in love with the situation, what we're doing. And I'm learning so much. You know, I'm an executive producer in Deborah's Way. And I've read some books about it to try and get better. I've seen some videos. But talking to these guys, bro, I am learning so much. I'm a good negotiator. I understand business. But this is like a whole nother world. And I'm starting to understand it, how the audience looks at it. I'm having fun with this. So I think once everything starts, the strike is over, I'm going to really try and stop. Now, I'm going to be doing this show probably from a distance on Zooms and stuff like that because I'm going to be maybe in Hollywood talking with the directors and some of the actors. You know, when they play the part, especially like the Johnny Keys, it's me and Johnny Keys mostly in the movie. And I talked with Alec Baldwin, and he says, the actors got to get the it. Now, I had somebody call me today and was recommending actors to play me. They sent somebody. The guy is a pretty good actor. I don't think it's me, and another person texted me and said, I saw a couple of people playing you, and they're not bad. I'm not saying they're bad, but they don't have me. So I think talking with them, sitting with them, having coffee with them, having a cigar with them, I think they'll get a better feel of me. So when they act, and they're all going to be pretty good actors. They're not, they're looking at good actors. But I want them to get, what I feel, how I act, how I think, so that the audience could really feel like it's me. It may not look like me, maybe better looking than me, and whatever, younger than me, but I want the audience to feel like that's Sammy. That's the way he is, that's the way he talks. So
absolutely. I know Anthony Reggiano was commenting about it too, and he mentioned it on the Crime Entertainment podcast, and he said, I know Sammy. And these other actors, yeah, they did good, but they didn't capture his true essence of who Sammy Gravano really is.
And see, that's important. What Anthony's 100% right. I want them to catch the true essence, the good, the bad, and the ugly, catch it all. And because that's what people hear. They heard my stories. They know I'm not a liar. They know I'm authentic in what I say and do. That's the way I want I don't want some actor coming on and trying to be a tough guy. Hey, talking all that stupid shit. So I want to make sure that they understand. And antipasti. No, antipasti.
The kalama. Tagabagu.
Yeah, tagabagu.
When we were doing research last Friday and we were watching episode 1, season 1 of Our Thing, which was insane. I love it. George Gabriel, the FBI agent that you were with the entire time, he said what people fail to understand is that out of all of these gangsters and hardcore mafia guys, Sammy's a family man. He wasn't out there partying, popping bottles, and yada, yada, yada. He's a family man, and that's what he did. He went to the gym. He was in the community. He went home to his wife and his children.
I think, and I'm talking to JJ, and he said the same thing. That Johnny Keys and you had actually a lot of things in common. When Johnny Keys wanted to leave his shoes to give his wife a message, they know I went home with my wife, my kids, my family. I had a farm. I mean, I was in the street, full blown. But
Sure.
I was a family man as well. with my kids and family and stuff like that. And I never played that at home or did anything. I didn't play anywhere really. But I think that's something that me and Johnny Keys had in common. And I think that's when I was in the van with him that whole time, that whole period. We came together on so many different levels. And this is now the writers are talking to me and telling me, you know, they were shocked to hear that, you know, when the story that I was with the Colombo family for a while, I had that whole problem. Then I was transferred over to the Gambinos. And they were telling me, they said, Sammy, that very rarely happens. And I know it does. Very rarely happens. And, you know, you get guys who are racketeers. And you could hear them. You know, the guy's a racketeer, talks good, he's educated, he has these little business deals and whatever. But I was a gangster, straight up gangster. I'm involved in murders. I'm not proud of it. It's not that I'm proud of it, I'm saying, but I was in the deep end of the mafia. And I'm 78 now. Tato was way older than me. I think he was born 1902 or somewhere around there. So when I hung out with these people, and I was in their stories, see, a racketeer don't get in that depth of it.
Yeah.
I was dealing with people who were super heavyweights. When I was talking with them, I mean, these are people who grew up with Al Capone, Lucky Luciano and stuff. So when we shared, you know, talking and going back in time, his time and my time and wherever, I just know so much more. So there's people even telling me they would love for me to do the history of the mafia. And I'm very enthused with that thought. That's another thing I was negotiating and thinking about. And that's what the guy was telling me. He said, Sammy, you're the real deal. You go back in time, not just because of your age now, but the guys you were with all the time were so much older than you. So you're going back, literally, some of it you lived, some of it you talked and heard from them. You're going back 100 years. So who better to talk about the history of the mafia than me? And then they're telling me I'm a good storyteller. They would love to hear it, and, you know, through me. So I'm thinking about that. So I do have 3 contracts already. I'm talking about this on a serious note.
Yeah.
It's good that we're talking about that too, because I wonder if you guys would be interested in hearing the history of the mafia through me. I did some writing about it when I was in prison and years ago, and I still have about 4.5, 5 pages, 6 pages. And I was reading it to a guy, and he said, who wrote this? I said, I did. Now, I don't spell good or stuff like that, and I don't take credit for writing it. There was a lawyer I was doing time with. He became a good friend of mine, and we would talk, and he would write, and then I'd look at what he wrote. I would make changes. So I didn't write it on my own. But it's really well written. The spelling and the punctuations and all of that, that's him. That's
beautifully written.
But it's a good story, and it's another project that I'm really seriously thinking of doing, putting it on my show. I think it'll be just as successful as my podcast, maybe even more.
Yeah.
Could I say how it starts, or I'm going to get in trouble?
Well,
We started off in the history of the mafia is that where my mother and father were born and raised. They were born in Italy, Sicily. They were raised there. They came to the United States. My father he jumped ship in Canada, and his brother Alfonso Gravano snuck him into country, met my mother, they got married. And you're starting the story that way for me, the history of the mafia, and that's how the mafia came here to begin with. So I do go back that far. Of course, a lot of it I don't know. I would have to get researchers and stuff like that. But a lot of it I do know. And I do understand how it went because I did. Smoozing with Tato, and he would talk to me about when he was a kid. You know, everybody thinks everything is crimes. We would sit outside. I didn't smoke a cigar. He'd sit and smoke a cigar. And he would tell me about himself growing up. And I was like a puppy, bro. I listened, and I was like a sponge. I listened to every word he said. And it blew me away when he would say, yeah, Al. Who Al? Al Capone. Like it was so natural to him. It was just a friend. Lucky Luciano, Vito Genovese. I used to tell my friends, you know, still with the Rampers, friendly with them, I would go back, I would say, bro, I'm hearing stories from this guy. I am blown away. He's talking about fucking Al Capone, Lucky Luciano, like it was, you know, just his friend growing up. And I heard those stories. So I do go back quite a bit, not just because of my age, but hearing those stories and knowing them. And so I think I would have fun doing that. I think my fans would love it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it doesn't, to all the viewers and Sammy's loyal supporters, it does not get lost upon us in the office who Sammy is and what an icon he is. And sometimes we joke around and we're being silly and stuff, but I tell Sammy all the time, I pinch myself every single day because I'm sitting with a piece of history, a living legend. And you guys, it definitely does not get lost upon any of us in these four walls.
Now I have a female friend who's heard you say that, and she's going to say, oh my God, his head is going to blow up. I'm going to need a pin for him to get through the door. But I don't listen, I love the stories, I love what's going on, and I do have, regrets, all that stuff, but I do have moments of my history in the Mafia where I did love a lot of people. I loved their families and friends, and there's parts of the Mafia that I love, and I'm not ashamed to say that. There's parts of it I am ashamed that we did certain things. So, but we always conducted ourselves in a certain way. We always cared about the neighborhoods. People are telling me now the neighborhood's shot, bro. And regular hardworking people, Sammy, when you guys were around, this shit didn't happen.
Right.
So it's nice to hear that from somebody from 40 years ago or 35 years ago, and it's true. We didn't allow our people to be hurt, even if we didn't even know them. You could have a wife walking down the street. She was safer than going around the corner. Mm-hmm. The guy would tell her, no, walk right past the club, because they knew she was safe.
That's right, pushing a baby or with a little
you
toddler.
were safe. Nobody's going to get out of a car and bother you. Mm-hmm. 10 guys would get up. Whoa, who are you? So it was snatching kids like they do now.
Oh, my God.
That couldn't happen now. We'd see a kid, we stick out 2 cents in there in 2 seconds.
Right.
So the Mafia has a lot of good points and a lot of bad points.
Absolutely. There was a lot of great, tremendous, positive feedback on the part 1 of Table in the Back with Michael Francis. And everybody in the comments is basically saying what you just said. We need you guys back in New York. We need you guys this mind frame running the country.
I read some of those comments. They were loving that, and they were right. And again, I go back to Joe Bonanno when he said, we don't need a president, we need the father of the country. Mm-hmm. Somebody who cares about everybody, no matter what race, no matter whether you're a man or a woman, what nationality, what religion, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Look at stuff going on with religions now. That's why, I believe in God. Religions is, to me, it's a nightmare. They're fighting each other, everybody. Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know.
Let me get to some super chats. I see you guys. Huey Jackie, no question, just a great comment. You are legendary OG, my friend.
Thank you so much, my brother.
Sandtrap Golf Channel, tell us a little bit more about Bobby Sassa. How did he become so powerful with the unions, and what family was he with? Bobby Sassa.
Well, he was originally friendly with the Bonanno people. Bobby Sasso became the president of the union. He was a delegate or something. He was very, very close. It was an Irish guy who ran the union. I can't think of his name. He was very close to Paul Castellano. When he stepped down, they wanted Bobby Sasso to be the president. But there was a beef that he was with the Bonanno family. So I believe it was Paul who had to sit down with the Bonanno family and said, listen, we'll respect that he's with you. But if we allow him to be the president of the union, he's with us during the day with the union stuff, not you. He's not going to answer to you. At night, he's your guy. He can answer to you. If he makes money and he wants to give you a piece, that's your business. That's not ours. But we run this union through the Irish guy. We were there first, and it's ours. So if you want us, we could put them in, and they agreed to that because they were more drug dealers, the Banana people. They weren't in the unions and the businesses as much. Matter of fact, they lost their commission seat because of that. There were so many of them, they didn't want to get out of drugs. They threw the boss off the commission as a seat. He was still a boss, but he didn't have a vote.
Wow.
No more. So we had him during the day, they had him at night, and he was very, very close with DB, Robert DiBernardo, DB, who was a captain. When we took out Castellano, John was going to give it to me. I said, it's better with DB. He knows him. He's friends with him for years, and he knows that stuff a little bit better than me. They gave it to DB. When DB was killed, they gave it to me. I ran it. Then I took it. But Bobby Sasso was on the DB first, and then me. And after that, I think he got out of the union. I cooperated. He probably got bounced.
Nice. Thank you, Sammy. Steve Jackson, hey Sammy, I know loyalty and things like that can be rare in the mafia, but who would you say you trusted completely? Frankie DeChico?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. And I trusted my crew, Stymie, the old man Peruta. I mean, no matter, his trust, no matter where they told me to be, whenever time, whether it was in a basement, whether it was in a strange place, I never went with any doubt in my mind. I was right there. And I trusted Tato. Listen, I trusted Shorty too. And I trusted some people in the Colombo family. It was a rough place to be. My biggest problem was that Ralph, there's a whole story about it. I can't say it now, it's too long. But he was trying to bring me down a little bit. He told a bullshit story. I went to his house, I went to kill him. And I didn't kill him. And his wife saw I had a gun. And they found out. And I was called in. And they asked me, were you there to kill him? And I said yes. First of all, Carmine Persico was in prison, but he heard, because he had called my wife and said, Carmine's going to kill me for what I did. And they flipped out because Ali Boy Persico Sr. was the concierge, was the acting boss while his brother was in prison. And he said, if you would have got killed, your wife, your family would have thought my brother did it, which wasn't true. And for what he did, they were steaming with him. They would have killed him. They would have gave me permission to kill him. But it was Shorty's brother. They gave him a pass. They never made him because of that. And they transferred me. Was the way to keep him alive, me alive, and peace. And they never gave a restriction. In other words, you could be made with them. They spoke for you. We think the world from, when I met them, they said, we think the world of you. You hit the mattresses with us. You broke your cherry killing somebody with us. We think that, but your mistake is you went to his house. You were ready to kill him in front of his wife and kids. That we don't buy. And it was a mistake. I just was so hot. I did the dumbest thing in the world. I went to his house. And as soon as he came to the door, I would have shot him. When I think back, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. It's disgusting. And I don't know what the fuck got me so mad. But I know what got me mad, but I should have held back. But that was how I moved. And
wow. Yep. That's on the channel, guys. It's in the podcast, so head over there. Frank Logan, as underboss, what was your day like?
My day was busy. I would get up like 7 o'clock in the morning, take a shower, get dressed. My driver, Louis Cicenti, would pick me up about 7:30 in the morning. I would go to a racquetball club. It was a gym. I would work out. I'd play a little racquetball. I actually had some people knew I was there, so I had some meetings there in between working out. I would meet with a captain and another family or a maid guy. So I'd have some meetings there. I'd get done. I would take a steam. A lot of times I would take a massage, get dressed, and go to work. and I had a construction office, and I went to work. I was actually in the construction business. I ran unions and did things, but I did have 4 or 5 construction businesses. And then I'd have meetings that would be set up for me at a diner, or come to the office and go in my backyard. I wound up like Toto, like sitting in the backyard on a chair like this with a cigar, a cup of coffee, and have a meeting. I had my little tomato plants and all that stuff. I mimicked Toto.
That's
I
amazing.
became him.
Yeah.
So I did all stuff like that. And at the end of the night, 5:30, I'd take a shower, change, get dressed, and I would go down Mulberry Street, the Little Italy, and I would go to John Gotti's club, the Ravenite, and I would meet with him, and we would discuss things I did all day long, different deals, different messages I was getting from different people. And then I would run away. So I would call if I was a little late, I would have big Louis Valerio call up my wife. Somebody brought her to a restaurant where I would meet her and eat. Then I'd go home, or I went home and ate with my wife and kids. So that was a pretty long day, 5 days a week. John wanted me to come to his club in Queens on a Saturday, and I did a couple of times, but I said, John, I'm never home no more, bro. It's too much. If you need me, I'll be there, but I'm not going to come on Saturday. And I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. I'm working 12 hours a day. I hardly see them. I want my weekends off. And I did. Unless there was a wedding or something, I didn't go out. I stayed with my wife and my kids, go out with them and socialize, because I was always home. Left early in the morning and got home late.
Great. That's awesome, Sammy. Thank you. Broke Me 5 owner. Hey, Sammy, do you know Danny Fama? Any stories? Fama?
Danny Farmer.
Fama.
I knew him. He came from a real tough family. The whole family went to jail. The father, the mother, the sister, his brother, him. They were all in prison for a while. And I knew of him. I didn't know him personally. Then I got to know him, and he became a member of my crew. And he did work with me. He was on murders with me, real tough guy. He used to come to the gym when I used to go to Gleason's gym. He'd love to come around. He'd love to hang out with me, and he real tough guy. And then he got pinched. He did a long bit. He came out. He's still alive. He's in the street now, from what I know and believe. Real good guy, tough guy, but a good guy, a real good guy. His whole family were good people. They wanted the father to flip. He wouldn't flip. The mother was dying. He still wouldn't flip. She died, or he died, one or the other. None of them did anything. They were good people, really good, tough people, stand-up people. And I didn't know the father and the mother or the sister personally. I knew his brother, one of them, and not good. But Danny, I knew him good. He was with me. Great guy.
Nice. There you go, Broke Me 5 owner. El Gato, no question, no comment, just his weekly kick up to the boss. An envelope for you.
That's my man.
So mine. Ryan Brown. Sammy, I know Lefty Ruggiero had to clear gambling debts befitting he could be made. Did you know anyone else in the life that had to do that? And R.I.P. Tommy Gambino. Lefty Ruggiero had to clear gambling debts befitting before he could be made.
Well, Lefty Ruggiero, I knew him well. He was a tough guy. He was a gambler, so he was always broke. My daughter's girlfriend, I call her my niece, Ramona Rizzo, that was her grandfather. And so she had 2 grandfathers who were in the mafia, and her father who got made. But he was a good guy. I don't know if they told him, maybe he had debts, and they didn't want to make him so that he's not going to pay the people or something. Maybe they told him, pay your debts, and then we're going to bring you in. I don't know if they would have done that. It's possible. I never heard that. So, but I know he deserved getting made. They did a movie about him with Johnny Depp, right?
Donnie Brasco,
Johnny Brasco, undercover agent.
Joe Pistone.
Yeah, and he went to prison on that. He got out of prison, and I think he died of cancer or something like that, not too long after getting out of prison. But a really stand-up good guy.
Yeah. Thank you, Sammy. The Gravekeeper. This is great. Hey, Sammy, would you ever consider doing a sit-down with Joe Pistone? He is the man behind Donnie Brasco. If not, did you ever have any interactions with him?
I never had interactions with him. I know a lot about him. I don't know if I want to sit down. What bothers me about him is that when you wear a wire, and this is, I mean, there's a lot of guys who cooperated. Guys who wear a wire, I can't stomach that. Because when you go into somebody's house with their wife and their children, then agents are sitting a block away in a car recording, or I don't know how you do that. I don't give a fuck if you're an agent, undercover. I don't know how you do that. It would turn my stomach to go into your house, and I think the world of you as a woman, and I'm getting you on tape, maybe things that would embarrass you or hurt you or your family or your kids. I would tell them, listen, I can't do that. I'll do my job, do the investigation. I'll put him in prison. That's what I'm supposed to do as an agent. But going in his house and lying to not only him, but his wife, his kids, and it did fuck him up, I think, a little bit. And for a while, he was undercover so long, he got to love the life. And when he went home, he started acting like a gangster. He had trouble in his marriage. A whole thing I heard even from the agents. For a while, they threw him out after, because he wrote a book. He wasn't supposed to. And so I don't know. I would sit down with him, but I don't want to be nasty, or I don't know if I could hold my temper with if I hear something that he enjoyed doing. You know, if he didn't enjoy it in a way, I mean, but that was his job, maybe I could accept that. But if he sat, oh yeah, I heard his wife, if he talks like a fucking jerk to me, it's not going to be a good sit down. I'm not saying to be afraid of me and physical, but I'll fucking blow up.
Yeah.
I won't want to hear that. It won't be a good sit down.
Yeah.
So I know Michael Franchi sat with him, and they got along real good. I think a little bit different than Michael Franchi. He says he's a racketeer, and he is, and a good guy, Michael. I'm a gangster, bro. I'm still a gangster in my heart. So some things bother me.
Yeah.
I hear guys cooperate, I get mad. People will tell me, what the fuck, you did the same thing. I did. But I never wired up, I never trapped people. I talked about my history, what I did. When I cooperated, my deal was I will not cooperate against my family. I will not cooperate against my crew. I ordered them on a hit. I can't do it. I just can't. And there was a woman who helped me set up rig the trial. I couldn't cooperate against her either. Why, Sammy? Why? Because she didn't want to. She didn't want money. She didn't want, and then her father put a little pressure on her. I'm going to put her in jail for what? She didn't want to. She didn't. There was no real gain. She didn't do it for money. She wasn't greedy. She did what her father asked her to do. I can't cooperate against her. I can't.
Yeah.
So they made a deal with me that anybody I didn't want, and Danny Farmer happened to be one of them too. He was in my crew. I didn't cooperate against Danny either.
Wow.
Matter of fact, later on when he got pinched, I cooperated for him. But certain things I couldn't do when I cooperated. Certain things I had to do. But I made a deal that 2 years I'll cooperate. After that, I don't have to. It's on I'm on my own. So I cooperated with who they indicted. They didn't indict none of my crew, family, or that woman or anybody in that 2-year period. So after the 2-year period, I think I went to one trial, Chins. It wasn't a trial, it was a hearing, and that was it. I never cooperated again. And that's why I was cool with the agents. They were cool with me, I was cool with them.
Yeah.
And there was enough, they had enough with me without going into every little person. Some guys will rat on their mother.
Right.
I just can't.
Right.
I just can't hurt certain people. I can't live with myself. So I just told them, I'd rather be dead. With certain things, I just can't do.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And then they went along with it, so I went along with it. I did, what I was supposed to do. Obviously, they wanted John Gotti, Frankie the Chico, not Frankie, Frankie LaCasio. And even with Frankie LaCasio, I mean, I did things for him after he got convicted. He should have walked away, and he had the grounds to do it. Now, I know somebody who said that he had a lawyer come in and say, about me that I cooperated, I did this and that. Frankie LaCasio had a lawyer, and I'm going to show facts about this, not now, but in a different thing. Frankie LaCasio had a lawyer, and he was indicted on the De Bono hit. He had nothing to do with the De Bono hit. I remember I had told the agents, I said, sometimes you're going to love me, sometimes you're going to hate me. This was right in the beginning. So they said, why? You told me to tell the truth. Yes, that's what we want. Good. Well, Frankie LaCasio had nothing to do with the Louis De Bono hit. He knew about it as administration, but he had no function in it at all. I did, John did, other people did. He didn't. And he's indicted on it. So if his lawyer asks me, was he involved in that murder? Understand, I'm going to tell him, in my opinion, no. And I'll tell them why. But I knew I was with good agents because they said, Sammy, we're not going to be mad at you. We told you to tell the truth. If that's what you feel is the truth, then tell it. So I had a green light to tell it. And Frankie LaCasio knew I would have done that. Now, if I would have done that, that would have fucked their case up against him. So John didn't want that because it would have made me sound like I'm not a puppet for them. I just destroyed part of their case. So he told the lawyer not to ask me those questions. Now, I can't just come out and say it. So when the lawyer came on, he never asked me those questions. Does Frankie, just a simple question, was he involved in this murder, Sammy? Frankie knew I would have said no. He knew I wasn't lying. But he didn't allow him. And he threatened the lawyer. The lawyer now talked about me. This fucking lawyer, and I'm going to talk about this lawyer. He shouldn't even have a license. He should have lost his license. You threw your client under the bus because you were afraid of John. Now, how do I prove this? Time went by. John went to prison. John died in 2002. Frankie LaCasio put in an appeal that his lawyer didn't defend him properly. The lawyer wrote a statement. If I'm called, he didn't want to say it, he was scared. But if I'm called in under oath, I will say yes. I was threatened by John, and I didn't ask Sammy those questions. Because we knew he would tell the truth. It may hurt John a little bit in the case, but it would have cut him. His fucking lawyer. What do you give a fuck? Or leave the case if you're afraid. But no, he went with the case, and I have proof to it. Jerry Capisi wrote an article about it. And I got other documents where he admitted, but he went on somebody's show and he didn't admit it. He didn't say that. But your lawyer, this fucking lowlife, you know who you are. You'll hear from me yet. I'm going to show what a mutt motherfucker you are, and you shouldn't have a law license. It should have been revoked. Your job is to fucking represent your guy and try to get him out. You had something to get him out with, and because you were afraid, then quit if you were afraid. But not go through the whole thing. You sacrificed him. So I get fucking wound up right now.
Holy
just
shit.
hearing this
Yeah.
fucking thing. And I'll put this out a lot clearer when my stories come out and the history of the mafia comes out. I'm going to mention, I'll tell you exactly who the lawyer is. I don't want to say it now, but I'm going to tell you who it is and all this other stuff. But I'm going to show you documents and facts. And newspaper guys like Jerry Capisi wrote about it, knew about it. And
You heard it live here first, folks.
yep, you did.
Right from
You did.
Sammy the Bull.
Because you got me a little mad.
Take a puff. Take a puff. We'll
Yeah.
move on. Thank you, Sammy, for that. That was incredible. JB Weld, how did DB get in the family if he was never in a crew?
DB was an extremely wealthy guy, a tremendous earner. A lot of you guys are younger guys, or older guys. If you remember Great Bear, there was a big bear, and you'd go in for your oil change and take care of your car. Great Bear. He was one of the owners of Great Bear, number one. He was one of the biggest pornography. They said he made pornography. He didn't make pornography. He was the distributor of pornography all over the world. So people would do an X-rated movie. He would buy it, make copies, and sell them to porn stores or wherever they sell them to. So he didn't make pornography he himself, but he knew the people who made it, and he made deals with them. Sometimes he financed them. So he was extremely wealthy. And he was with somebody. I can't remember who proposed him and he got made, but I think Paul kind of scooped him up and put him around him because he was extremely powerful businessman. He had the union with Bobby Sasso. He was close with him. He was very powerful in a lot of areas, ton of money. Really, I know this is going to sound crazy because I killed him, but I was under orders. I didn't want to kill him. He helped me a bunch of times. We did a massive, massive HUD project. I did it with this Jewish guy, Marty Singer. Marty Singer's gonna, if he's alive, he's gonna have a heart attack. I'm talking about him. So Marty Singer, we were dealing with him. I was doing things for him. And he comes to me one day and he says, we're doing this HUD project. I got an $8 million, this is way back then, an $8 million tax shelter. I don't know what the fuck I know. I was a gangster. What's a tax shelter? In other words, if you buy this for X amount of dollars, you write off the taxes each year on this project. So I remember Paul was complaining about paying taxes. So naturally I went back and I told him, he knew what it was, Paul knew what it was. And he says, yeah, see if I could buy it. So I went to Monty Singer and I said, Paul would want to buy it. Oh, he said, good, I'll sell it to him. It don't matter. So they make a deal with the lawyers. I'm out of it. I'm out of it. No, I don't know none of that shit. So I go into Monty Singer and he says, oh my God, you ruined my life. I said, how? What did I do? He says, Paul had the tax shelter and they bought it. I said, well, I thought that's what you wanted. He said, yeah, but look at the names he put on it. Who? Tommy Gambino, Johnny Gambino. I mean, he came, he bought it with all his cousins and people like that, and they all bought it together. Mm-hmm. So there was all these big names on it. He said, my God, my reputation is ruined. I said, don't worry about it. They're like legitimate guys, don't worry about it. So he bought it. But anyway, They got in trouble with it because they weren't running the building. When you own the tax shelter, you have to make sure that the building is run properly for years. Once it's done and they put tenants in there and everything. They weren't doing that. So they were in a position that they might lose the tax shelter. And they may lose some money. So DB was there when I went to see Paul, and Paul was mad at it, and he was mad at me. So he said, if we lose money, your end is going to be $250,000. Wow. I didn't do anything. I didn't make a dime. My end is going to be $200,000. I almost shit myself. I didn't have $250,000 to give him. And I said, all right, Paul. I'll never forget that DB turned around and said, Paul, why should he pay $250,000? He brought us something, because DB's name was on it too, and we weren't handling the thing properly. And he says, why didn't you tell us? I said, I don't know about nothing like that. I didn't go to any of the legal meetings. I didn't know what you had to do. I know you bought it. I didn't know what to do. I know about the construction. I don't know about renting it to tenants and doing all of that. So DB jumped in again and told Paul, if you want him to pay the $250,000, I will pay his $250,000. I don't believe he should pay that. And Paul looked at DB. I thought that Paul was going to get mad, but he said, all right, listen, you're right. No, you don't have to pay the money. So I like DB a lot. And one time, there's a couple times he tried to help me. I didn't want DB to die. I tried everything to fight back when the contract came out for him. But I struck out over and over again. And John ordered me. Piney was the underboss at that time. He said, Sammy, John wants it done. He wants you to do it. And I did it. But DB was a real good guy, a friend of mine. It's one of them hits I regret. I didn't want it to happen. And it turns out later on that Angelo Ruggiero borrowed $250,000 off of DB and never paid it. I think he fired John up and got this done, not to pay him the $250,000. But again, that's another story that I'm going to go into in depth about some other time.
Nice, Sammy, nice. You are a storyteller. You are the storyteller.
I just like tell stories that you did.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Okay, let's keep chugging along. Sandtrap Golf Channel. Sammy, do you know about a hit John Gotti ordered on a guy for killing an undercover agent?
For killing his undercover agent? I don't get the question. John Gotti ordered a hit on a guy who had an undercover agent.
Who for killing an undercover agent? Did he order a hit for anybody that killed an agent? 'Cause the guy killed an agent?
Oh, you might be talking about, but it was more the Bonanno family. It was all the families wanted to kill him. He killed a DEA agent.
Oh.
He was a drug dealer, and a black guy, I think it was a black guy, was working undercover. He was a DEA agent. When he was talking to this guy, I can't think of his name, in a car, the guy felt that he was a rat trying to trap him, and he shot him in the head. The agents that were parked, they heard a noise, but they didn't know where it was, and there was a massive investigation over it, and everybody went against this kid who did it. Faraci. His name was Faraci. A big muscle-bound fuck.
Nicely done.
Yeah. And I had heard of him. I had a couple of beefs with him. He went to, when he got out of jail, he wasn't really hooked up. He was a shithead. Monster. Tough guy. But he went to my father-in-law's little place in Staten Island. They had a little luncheonette, and he was flirting with my wife. And my sister-in-law told him, you better not with her. He was asking about her. He flirted with her, then he was asking about her. So he said, why not? So she said, she's married. And he says, I don't give a fuck. Well, you will if you hear the name. Who's the name? Sammy the Bull. And he says, I don't really give a fuck. When I heard I don't mind him flirting. My wife was pretty. She was flirting. He could hit on her. That's normal. But when you say you know who is her husband and you don't give a fuck, I mean, I got wound up. I would have probably wound up hurting him. I never got to him. And then this whole thing happened with the agent. He's the guy who shot the agent,
Okay.
Faraci. And so that, I think, is the guy you're talking about. And if my wife is listening to this,
I was going to ask, was his name Lenny? Flirting with the wife.
no.
All right. Salute, Sammy. You look good, bro.
I feel good. I feel good right now. You know, I didn't feel good for a couple of days. I was down a little bit. And I got a couple of doctor's appointments and stuff. But I feel good now.
Good, good. Amen. Giovanni, hey, Sammy, when you were with the administration, was there any personal grudges you had for Patsy Conti after he sat down for De Bono and asked for your life? Was it awkward seeing him right after that?
No, not really. I mean, he's a captain. He a made guy went to him, under him, and that's what he's supposed to do. I had no grudge against him. He did what he's supposed to do in Cosa Nostra. The one I hated was Louis De Bono. He inflated and made this whole story up, and he exaggerated. I mean, I bounced him around. I didn't punch him. I bounced him all over the place. I was so frustrated with him. And then the way he sat there and gawked at me in the meeting. But I really didn't have a grudge against Patsy Conti. He was a mild-mannered guy. You know, he didn't do it in an aggressive way. I think he buckled at the meeting. He didn't say fucking 2 words. You know, he didn't come off strong that he wanted to kill me. He just laid the cards on the table that were brought to him. And that's what happens. Louis Melito was killed that way too. Big Louis, we put him on the Big Louis, and he was abusive. Big Louis went to John, not to kill him. He just said, listen, I don't like him. I don't want him with me. Could you put him with somebody else? He didn't know that there was already 2 beefs that I had straightened out for Louis Melito. This was the 3rd one, so when I went to John, he said, listen, I had enough of this fucking guy, and I'm going to take him out. And I went to talk again. He said, Sammy, I do not want to hear it. You saved him twice. That's enough. I got my crew is going to take care of it. You know, I don't want to talk about it. Now, when a boss talks to you like that, that's it. It's over. I had asked to be there like a schmuck to say, I didn't want him to be spit on or kicked or a rough way to go. I wanted to set it where he just got hit in the head real quick. You don't feel nothing. If I die, I want to die that way. You don't feel nothing. It's lights out in a split second. Boom. You don't hear the noise. You don't hear nothing. You're dead immediately. It's with a not high-powered, but a 38, a 357 Magnum, 1 shot in the head. You never know what hit you. You're down. Boom. It's over. I just wanted it to be. I had a long relationship with him. I wish I would have shut my mouth. If I would have shut my mouth, that wouldn't even be on my list. That's the only part I took. I went there, didn't want it to be brutal. It bothered me because I grew up with him. Yeah. And then I wanted to be there so it wasn't brutal. He was with me. But again, it is what it is.
Thank you, Sammy. You know, speaking of bounced around, on the blogs and the interwebs, there's a rumor that's going around that you were so yoked out that when you would work out at, is it Gleason's or Nero's, that they didn't know if it was you hitting the bags or Tyson hitting the bags because you hit so damn hard.
I was me going to Gleason's gym, and I did. I could naturally hit hard for some reason all my life. But when I was going to Gleason's, I started working out and I started taking steroids. And I was getting older and slower. So I was taking steroids thinking I would be faster and feel a little, more energy. but I got so muscled out and so strong. That's when I was hitting the bag. I would spar with a guy. One day I'm sparring with him, and if I hurt him, we'd stop sparring. Or he hurt me, we know, and we would stop. It's just get the workout, sparring match. You don't want to kill each other. And I got him in the corner, and he pushed me a little bit, and he said, "Sammy, are you mad?" I said, "No, I'm not mad. Why?" He says, "You're breaking my ribs, bro. You're hitting so hard." He says, "You're killing me." Now, I hit the same way normally that I'm thinking mentally. I didn't realize how strong I was getting, and I was hurting him. And when I hit in the bag, it's that steroids gives you that rage.
Roid rage.
Roid rage and stuff like that. And I think that's the part where they were talking. So at that point, I was hitting so hard. I mean, I would spar with a guy, hit him in the ribs, they would go down.
Oh my God.
Which never really happened to me. So I was shocked. I said, "What the fuck?" I'm looking at my hands like, what is there, something in the glove?
Yeah.
But it was the steroids.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Sammy. Abraham Friedman. Sammy, have you ever helped Jewish women get their Orthodox Jewish husbands to issue a divorce document so they could be free to be married? I remember hearing stories about hiring the mob to beat up unwilling husbands, forcing them to get the divorce.
No, I never did that. I never did that. I mean, I never did that. You know, I had a lot of friends who were Jews. I once met, we had the club on 62nd Street, Tallies, and 18th Avenue, and 65th Street down the other way, or 60th Street and down 50. So it was an Hasidic Jew neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I know one day this Hasidic girl came in. She's an Hasidic Jew, and she's talking with us. We were all bad boys. We're goofing and whatever. And then she was talking about their sex life and how they have sex and what they do. They put a little hole in a sheet, and their bodies ain't supposed to touch and this and that. And you can picture all these guys says, "We're hooting and howling. Oh my God!"
Oh my God.
So, and they don't have oral sex, and we showed her the better side of life.
I can't.
So, I don't know
God.
if she got a divorce or she wasn't happy. I don't know. No, I never heard that. Beaten up. No, I never did that. I never even heard of that.
Thank you, Sammy. J.B. Weld, did you ever mediate any sit-downs as the decision maker?
Did I ever mediate any sit-downs as a decision maker? Absolutely. I've sat down thousands of times in deals, different deals, unions, problems with other families. I'll give you an example. Not Roy DeMeo, but Gas Pipe and Vic, the people of the Lucchese family, they hated John Gotti with a passion. John Gotti couldn't get anything done with them. They wouldn't do anything for him. And he would always get mad, because I grew up with Gas Pipe. And get your fucking friend and straighten this beef out. You know, and I'll give you an example. There was a beef about, there was two legitimate people, neighbors, and on one, the fence was on somebody's side, a foot and a half, 2 feet, and they were arguing and fighting. And one of them knew Gas Pipe, and he's giving the guy problems. The other one knew John Gotti. And John Gotti couldn't straighten it out. So he says, "Go get your fucking friend and tell him to stop with this." So I went and I sat down with Gas Pipe and I said, "Listen, bro, let's straighten this thing out with these people. Come on. We're on a level of two administration. You're an underboss, I'm an underboss. We're talking about fucking fixing a fence, bro. We're in the construction business. That's straight." He didn't want to do it. He said, I don't want your man to win anything. I said, "Bro, it's not about that. First of all, we're in Gozer Osher. You're an underboss and I'm an underboss. We have to solve this fucking thing. You know, let's solve it. Here, what do you want to do? I'll solve it, me and you." "How?" I said, "Let's rip the fucking fence down, get somebody where the fence belongs, and put a new fence up. It'll cost us $3,000, $1,500 each. I'll take it out of my pocket, you take it out of your pocket, John didn't win. Nobody won. The neighbors stopped fighting, and we stopped doing this. We got a lot of important things we're talking about. We're fucking talking about a fence. And he started laughing. He said, okay, we'll do that. And that's what we did to solve it. I'll give you an example. He didn't want to give John an inch on anything. So.
Wow. Boys. Boys
will be boys sometimes.
It's great, Sammy.
Hey,
Thank
John
you.
Gotti and Angelo Ruggiero gave Mickey Domino a fucking hit to kill Gaspipe. They shot him. And he knew, because they found the kid. The kid confessed that, who did it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so Mickey Boy Paradiso. What did I say? Mickey Domino? Mickey Boy Paradiso. So,
Mm-hmm.
they hated him.
Wow. Ugh. Okay, let's go. Almighty don't like nobody. That's his username. Hey, Sammy, what's your favorite pasta dish?
All kinds of pasta, pasta vazul, all kinds of pastas. My family are Sicilians. They came from Italy, and they're farmers, they're peasants, and they're peasant dishes. When you don't have money, that's what you make. Pasta, vazul, pasta with peas and all different kind of pasta dishes. So I grew up with that. I still love it. I make that myself. I make it for myself. So all kinds of pasta dishes, but pasta with beans and pasta vazul and
I'm getting hungry.
Kind of pasta. Huh?
I'm getting hungry.
And marinara sauce, or pasta with meatballs and sausages. My son is a great cook.
Oh, yeah.
And he makes me that. I just scoff that stuff right up. I'd rather have that than a steak.
Yeah.
Even though I eat steaks and stuff like that, but I eat everything just about. I mean, I like Chinese food. I like Mexican food. Jewish, they only have a Jewish deli. The Jewish people don't have food.
Gefilte fish.
It was a thing in our neighborhood. They said, if you want to get rich, move into a Jewish neighborhood and open up a Chinese restaurant. Because they go out to dinner. They don't want to eat at home. They go out to dinner. So you open up a little Chinese restaurant or an Italian restaurant in a Jewish neighborhood, you're off and running. I mean, the place will be packed every night.
Printing money.
Not the Jewish people will be mad at me. We do
Marty
have,
Singer,
you
all
got
of
the
them.
barbecue chicken, you got knishes, roast beef sandwiches, knishes. I mean, I like that food
Yeah,
too. But
the matzo ball soup.
yeah, matzo ball soup.
All right. Elgato. Anna, cuss in Italian a bit. Basta.
Basta.
Enough. No. I'm a lady. We don't fucking cuss around here, okay? All right. Jeez. Mark Lee with an envelope and a kick up this week. No comment, no question.
Thank you, Mark.
John, hi, Sammy. What was the toughest sit down you had to ever experience, and who was the most difficult opponent to deal with?
I don't look at it as the person being difficult. There was not the person, it's the situation. When you're representing somebody who's fucked up or is in the wrong or did the wrong thing, those are tough sit downs. You're going into that sit down with your hat in your hand. Don't go in like a tough guy. Everybody's a tough guy. Everybody's the same, especially when you get up in a higher captain and above. So you're going in and you're sitting down with people. If you're fair, listen, I was fair with people. I never bullied people. I was always fair. I know, business-wise, I'm a negotiator. In Hollywood right now, I'm negotiating my brains out. I know you want something. I know what you want. I know I want something. I know I'm not going to get 100%. I'm not going to give you 100%. So I know someplace in the middle, you're going to get some of it, you'll be happy, and I'm going to get some of it, I'll be happy. Someplace in the middle. And that was my theory all the time. And it kind of works if you're dealing with somebody fair. And in the mafia, in business world, I had some pains in the asses who thought they would just, they wanted everything, but they didn't get it. You know, so I'm a good negotiator that way. I did a negotiated with Diane Sawyer to do an interview with her 20 something, 25, 30 years ago, whatever it was. And she said, Sammy's one of the toughest fucking negotiators we dealt with in ABC. But once the ink dries, he was the easiest person to deal with. So I'm that way. I'm not greedy. I'm not selfish. If you get those things off the table and out of your way, you can make deals. Don't get rich on one deal. Get a good reputation. You'll have 10 deals. Don't worry about it. Success. Show success. Success is like a magnet. It sucks money right with it. You're successful. You're honest. You do the right thing. Money will flow right there. Maybe not the most, but you'll be very successful.
That's great advice, Sammy. Great advice. Gabe R., is there a boss or a captain that you would have loved to work with but never got a chance?
A boss or a captain? I think I sat with every boss and every captain on the fucking planet.
Touche. Touche.
I tell you the truth. But there were guys, listen, I sat with so many guys, like Fat Tony Solano, he was the boss of the Genovese family for a while. He was great. I did a sit down with him. I was much younger. I was not even a captain. I was an acting captain for Tato. Paul sent me there. And he looked at me and he said, Sammy, I see you're a little nervous. I went to a meeting Paul sent me to. There was Fat Tony, who was a boss. Tony Ducks was a boss. One of the guys represented the Colombo boss. The boss was in jail. He was the acting boss. I went in, I was like an acting nothing. So I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
So, but he said, Sammy, he says, you're a young kid, you're good looking, go fuck the broads. What do you want to sit with us old farts for? So when he said that, I busted out laughing. They all laughed. And then Tony Ducks turned around and said, listen, Sammy, you are a little nervous. You're here. Here's how we look at you now. Paul sent you here. So right now, in this meeting, we're talking to Paul. You're a boss. Interrupt. Say what you want to say. It was about the Concrete Club. And they relaxed me so much. It was unbelievable. Talking to them was like talking to my uncle, my father, my grandfather or something. They were much older than me, and I was real comfortable with that. But there was sit-downs that I had that I sat down with Chin Gigante a couple of times. He's a rough guy. I had great meetings with him, and I never had a problem with him either. When you're a straight shooter and you're not a con artist, not a bullshitter, and that becomes your reputation, and they feel that in the conversation, I never really had that difficult over time. I don't go in looking for everything. I know what I want. I know I'm not going to get it all. And then I'm looking at, I know what he wants, so I'll give him this. It's a negotiation. I heard Michael Francis talking about John Gotti one time and how he negotiated with him. And that was what Michael said was perfect. He went in there, he knew John Gotti's reputation, had, tough guy persona and all that shit. So when he said something, I forgot exactly what Michael said. He said, I'm going to buy this. And John said, no, you're not going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. That's what he wanted to begin with. He outfoxed him. So, there's a lot of ways in negotiation. I even thought John wasn't a tough negotiator either. He would, if he didn't like you and he was mad, then you had a problem with him. But I never had a problem talking with John or dealing with him. John wasn't a business guy. He was a gambler, a womanizer, a little bit of a drug dealer. But he wasn't a business guy, so the negotiations really weren't all that tough.
Right. Thank you, Sammy. Miss Betty Ann Tavano with a very generous envelope for you, Sammy. 'Tis the season, pumpkin pie lattes for you and your fabulous crew. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Heart, heart, heart.
I just threw 3 kisses back.
Oh,
Betty
beso,
Ann.
beso.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Betty Ann. Your teddy bears were so cute.
Yes, yes.
Let's see. J. Marie. Boss, what's up with the bullpen? I can come on and substitute if you guys are busy. We need our Mafia News Network.
J. Marie, you don't be surprised if I take you up on that, though. But I've been busy too, and like I said, for the past week, I really was under the weather. I didn't feel good. I was getting, I feel like a bitch. I was getting cold and hot flashes. Like I was cold for a while, and then I was hot, and then I was cold.
I think there's a
I'm
song
sitting
about that.
A week ago, I'm freezing my ass off. I says, well, it's 109 outside. Why am I cold? But so I really wasn't feeling good. I don't know what I came down with, some kind of stomach virus, a little virus, and I really wasn't feeling too well. So I missed one, I think. See, my problem is when I get these movies, I'm afraid that, like the Monday Live, how am I going to keep doing it if I'm in Hollywood? But I'll do it.
We'll find a way.
Yeah, we'll do it, whether it's a Zoom call. I'll tell Hollywood, listen, guys, get used to me. Chill for the next 2 hours. I got to talk to my people.
Take 5.
I'll get it done. I'll get it done.
So we have a couple super chats from JB Weld, and they are going in the political direction. So I'm going to shout them out to you. The first one was prayers to Israel and everything that's going on over there. He then said, do you think the families are missing an opportunity here? They could just start cracking heads on the streets to get some order, and the law and public will probably turn a blind eye to petty rackets and leave them alone. He also said just more chats about what's going on in Israel and the war and the attack, and Larry Fishkind too is also in the chat, and he asked, what's your opinion on everything going on over there?
I didn't want to really make too many statements about it, but I will make a statement about it, is that, the Palestinians, now I'm not a historian, but they had a tough time, and they were pushed out. They built on their land a little bit, and whatever happened, there was problems. I don't think they were in the right in the beginning. I don't think that gives this group, I don't call them Muslims, I call them terrorists, to do what they did. I know a lot of Muslims who are good people. Amina is a Muslim. They're great people, great kids. So you're taking a part of them. I think they really, really fucked up because they hurt their whole group. They hurt everybody by what you did. Now, if you fought Palestine to Israel, I don't know the whole history, so a lot of countries battle. Russia's battling with that country there. So, there's different disputes, and I know everybody has a point. But when you go in, and that's not Muslims, that's a group of terrorists as far as I'm concerned. They happen to be Muslims, but they go out and you did the wrong thing. You went overboard with killing fucking women, children, and everything else. Your whole platform is destroyed. And you destroyed and hurt other Muslims, good Muslims. Now, if they retaliate, and I'm sure Israel and some of these countries are going to retaliate, now you are responsible for all those good Muslims who are about to die. If that happens, I hope it don't. I hope they can straighten it out somehow. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I have a lot of Jewish friends, tons of them. I'm working with a lot of them, but I also have good Muslim friends. I was in prison with tons of Muslim guys who are my friends. They even asked me to join their group for a while. So, but when you go overboard, it's like what I did when I went to Ralph's house. I was going to shoot him in front of his wife and kids. Once I did that, I went, boop, wrong. We have a rule in the mafia, don't use bombs. You could shoot somebody in the head if it's a contract or whatever you got. Don't use a bomb. Why is there a rule, don't use a bomb? Because you could hurt innocent men, women, and children. So everybody has that in them. You know, you're going to only hurt your whole cause, everybody around you. And I think that's what those Muslims did in that particular situation. I think they'll regret it. I think that the damage they have done to Muslims' reputation, good Muslims around the world, is horrible. They should pay for that. Even the Muslims should eat them up and say, what you did to us, you made us look like fucking animals. It's one thing to fight a war. I get it. Everybody gets it. But to do what you did, going in there, snatching people, killing them in their houses, that's a radical. Now, I can't stay with just Muslims. We have Italians, Roy DeMeo, gas pipe. They've killed people in droves for no fucking reason. And we hated it. That's why we killed Roy DeMeo. You tarnished everybody by what you're doing. Who the fuck are you to just kill fucking people for nothing? That's a tough guy? That's not a tough guy. You're a serial killer now. So this is the same thing in reverse. So I hope that the Muslim world is offended by what they did. I know the Muslim, Maya Amina, call her Maya Amina, is disturbed about it. First thing out of her mouth, she was fucking utterly disturbed how this isn't us. We don't kill. We don't do that. What the fuck? And this isn't us. And what hurt them is that other Muslims who are applauding it. You can't applaud that. It's like knocking down the World Trade Center. You can't applaud. Oh, what a good move. No, it's not. You killed innocent people. And God knows how many Muslims died because of that. So you want to go into a war, duke it out. Gun to tank, plane to plane, man to man. A war. Women and children and old people are off the table. Mm-hmm. They're not your enemy.
Right.
And you only hurt your own cause and stuff like that. And that's all. I don't want to get too deep into it, but I mean, that's about as deep as I can get. I don't know the whole politics of it. I know they both have arguments, good arguments on both sides. And again, instead of doing that, just what I said before, let's negotiate. We know what you Palestinians want. We know what you Jews want. Somewhere in the fucking middle is life and love. Not that. Not killing and torture and every other fucking thing. Then it's off the wall. Then there's, I don't know an answer. Then, like I say, I don't know if they'll retaliate. They probably will. Mm-hmm. And they're getting, if you wanted to hurt Jews, you did them a fucking favor because they're getting a ton of support all around the world.
Yeah.
So you didn't hurt them. You might have hurt 1,000 people you killed, which is ugly, but you did them a big favor, in a way. Mm-hmm. Publicly, they're winning they won support for what your action. So you didn't hurt them. You hurt yourself. So I don't know what else to say about that. I don't like that stuff done by anybody. And it's another problem I have with religions. I believe in God. I always said I have a problem with fucking religions because this is the end result. Mm-hmm. These are religions.
Right.
Catholics will turn around. If you don't say something to Jesus, you'll go into hell and you're going to buy. Stop with this fucking bullshit already. Mm-hmm. You know, we all believe in God. Everybody has a different path. But they try and pull and fight from these different paths worse than soldiers. Religion makes you this nuts. Then I don't think we need religion on any end, any religion. So,
yeah.
you know, peace.
yeah.
Religion is just peace and love for one another, understanding for one another. So, a little bit. You know, I argue with people that I don't like, but I understand certain things, and I back off, or I don't get too aggressive or too stupid or whatever. You know.
JB Well just said, us Sicilians were conquered by everybody. We've got Italian, Viking, Greek, Jewish, and Arab ancestry.
And that's what you do. Listen, when we came into the country, we had Irish people came here first. We had trouble with the Irish. I not me personally, but I know that happened with the Italians. But there was no hatred. I had Irish men. My ex-wife's uncle, Danny, was Irish. I think one of the people who did the most things for me and loved me the most in the family was Danny, an Irish guy. So, you know, you can't carry old beefs and old things that it's the same thing. I'll go with black people. I mean, what was done in slavery was horrible. But that's why we have it in history, so we don't do it no more. But you can't bring that up every fucking 2 minutes. It never ends. And then you have all these different problems. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got to understand there's got to be a point where you get over something and you go forward and live a life. Or you're just going to carry this your whole life and have nothing but negative thoughts all the time. So, and that's not a good thing. Mm-hmm. I think, like you said, with Patsy Conti, and I'm not mad at him now. I could be mad at him and say, he sat down to get me killed. But that was his job. Mm-hmm. I'm not mad at agents who try to put me away. As long as they use the law, not, try to frame me or hurt me with it. And that's happened too. But those people I hate. I don't like, what the fuck is his name there? The mayor of New York. What the hell was his name?
Oh, Adams.
Huh?
Mayor Adams.
No.
Eric Adams.
No,
New
the
York.
schmuck who just got
Giuliani.
pinched with Trump.
Giuliani.
I mean, here's
Either
a
of
guy
them.
who gloated over burying people. And you're such a nice man. Now you're getting hurt and you're whining. He made a statement. I'd like to see Sammy in court. So I could put him away for 100 years. You ain't got the balls you were born with. Come down with a gun, dickhead. Don't bury me that way. That's a fucking cunt way. If you're gonna open your fucking mouth, man up and come and do something. Not you want to bury me for 100 years. Oh, you're such a tough guy. And now he got hit, and I made fun of him a little bit. I actually feel sorry for him, believe it or not, and I don't like him. But I don't want to hate on people. I don't want to hate on things. It burns me up. It wastes my fucking time. I got a lot of freaks who bother me all the time. I don't even answer them.
Right.
Because I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste whatever life I got left. I want to enjoy. I want to help people. I want to do the right thing. I mean, I'm not a do-gooder that I'm going to help the whole world, but if I can help people and do the right thing, I want to live in a non-negative world around me. I can't change the whole world, but around me, just like these people on these shows. Betty Ann, what's his name?
Elgato.
All these
Jane
people
Marie.
here.
Francisco.
James Marie.
Larry.
I mean, all of these people sending me the shirt and stuff like that. I love this. Mm-hmm. I love the life. And I love people that are around me. I don't need the negative shit.
Yeah.
I survive off of this.
Smart.
So-
That's the way to do it, Sammy.
Yeah, I got a great team. I mean, and they could tell you, if I get a negative person coming to work with me, in 2-3 weeks, a month, boom, they're gone.
Yeah, you got to go.
I don't want
Yeah.
it around me. So,
Hell
that's
yeah.
my thing with the thing. I've got a lot of questions about that whole thing. I'm not an expert, and I don't know what's going on, but I know what I said.
Yeah. And the bullpen is going to ramp up within another week, so get ready for the uncensored version and Sammy's take on all the stuff that's going on over there, over here, everything.
Right, right. I got opinions all the time, so.
Yeah.
What
Yep.
they say, opinions is like what? Assholes?
I knew he was going to say
Everybody's got one.
Everybody's got one, baby. And part 2 of the Michael Francis Table in the Back will be dropping this Wednesday, guys.
Oh, right. The second part, listen, the first part, the comments, like she said, I read, I never got that many comments. The last I saw, we had 1,200 comments. I think it's up to even more than that now, because I didn't see it a couple of days ago. And we're over 150,000 views. And phenomenal. I must have read 300 and change comments. I couldn't read them all, but I read about 325, 330 comments. Almost every single comment was great. If I got 2 comments that weren't too hot, they weren't super bad. It was like one of them was negative about me, one of them was negative about Michael Francis. But they were bullshit things. And
Wah.
2 out of 325, that's not bad. So, especially on social media, it's a little crazy. But they were great comments, and it's coming out this Wednesday.
This Wednesday.
Coming 2 more days, and part 2, and then Cheeseburger is done.
Cheeseburger. Until you meet again.
Until we meet again.
Until you meet again.
So
And happy Indigenous Peoples Day, Sammy.
that's what it is.
It's today, all day.
Oh, all right.
I think we have a little Indigenous over here. I might have some Mayan blood in me. Indigenous blood. Well, Sammy, you went extra long today because of last week. We didn't get to everybody, so Sammy did extra long for you guys today.
Okay, dokes. So I'm going to sign off with my adios, motherfuckers.